The information provided in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Search engine optimization, SEO, and digital marketing are subject to constant algorithmic changes by third-party platforms such as Google, Bing, and YouTube. The strategies discussed are based on historical trends and industry case studies. They do not constitute professional marketing, legal, or financial advice. Success in digital marketing depends on numerous variables, including content quality, technical execution, and market competition. Viewers are encouraged to conduct their own due diligence and consult with a professional advisor before making significant business investments or strategy shifts. No specific results or traffic increases are claimed or offered. 90% of the content currently living on the internet is invisible. This is not a hyperbolic statement or a marketing scare tactic. It is a documented statistical reality of the modern web. Every single day, millions of blog posts, videos, and product pages are uploaded into the digital ether, and the vast majority of them will never see the first page of a search result. They will never receive a single click from a qualified lead. In the United States alone, the competition for digital real estate has reached a point of saturation where good keywords are no longer enough to survive. If you are still relying on high-volume search terms that look impressive in a spreadsheet but fail to convert in a bank account, you are effectively shouting into a vacuum. You are building a digital skyscraper in the middle of a desert where there are no roads to lead people to your door. The American market is the most competitive digital landscape on the planet. US-based consumers have a unique psychological profile when it comes to search intent. They are sophisticated, they are impatient, and they are increasingly being served by generative AI search experiences that answer their questions before they even click a link. This is the new frontier of SEO. If you want to capture their attention, you cannot simply guess what they are typing into a search bar. You need to understand the underlying architecture of A-list keywords. These are the specific, high-intent phrases that bypass the noise and connect you directly with a ready-to-buy audience. In this masterclass, we are going to deconstruct the exact process of identifying these keywords, moving beyond the surface-level metrics that keep most creators and businesses stuck in the cycle of invisible content. We are going to bridge the gap between getting traffic and getting the right traffic, ensuring that every minute you spend on SEO is an investment in a measurable potential outcome rather than a shot in the dark. Historically, the SEO industry was built on a foundation of volume. In the early 2010s, the strategy was simple. Find a word that gets 100,000 searches a month, mention it 5 times in your first paragraph, and wait for the visitors to arrive. That era is dead. Today, a keyword with 10,000 searches might be worth $0 to your business, while a keyword with only 200 searches might be the backbone of a 6-figure revenue stream. This is the difference between vanity metrics and A-list keywords. An A-list keyword is defined by 3 critical pillars: high commercial intent, manageable competition within the U.S. geographic context, and alignment with the current semantic understanding of search engines. Consider a case study of a boutique software-as-a-service company based in Austin, Texas. They spent 18 months trying to rank for the keyword project management software. On paper, it was the perfect target. It had massive search volume and high visibility. They spent tens of thousands of dollars on backlink campaigns and content clusters, only to find themselves buried on page 5. Even when they managed to hit page 2, the traffic they received was bounced traffic. People looking for free tools, students doing research, or casual browsers with no intention of purchasing an enterprise-grade solution. Their mistake was failing to recognize that project management software is a C-list keyword for a boutique firm. It is too broad and too dominated by multi-billion-dollar corporations with infinite marketing budgets. When they pivoted to an A-list strategy, they stopped looking at volume and started looking at zero-click resistance and specific pain points. They shifted their focus to terms like agile project management tools for mid-sized U.S. construction firms. The search volume dropped by 99%, but their conversion rate increased by 400%. Why? Because they targeted a US-based audience with a specific intent, a specific regional dialect, and a specific problem that the giants were ignoring. This is the shift in mindset required for 2026. You are no longer trying to rank for words. You are trying to rank for solutions to specific American problems. The US audience presents a unique challenge because of regional nuances. A soda in New York is a pop in the Midwest and a Coke in parts of the South. If your keyword strategy does not account for these cultural and linguistic shifts, you are leaving a massive portion of your potential audience on the table. Furthermore, The US search landscape is heavily influenced by near-me searches and localized intent. Even if you are an online-only business, the way a user in Los Angeles searches for digital marketing help differs significantly from how a user in Miami searches for the same service. The Los Angeles user might be looking for creative agency scaling, while the Miami user might be searching for bilingual lead generation experts. A-list keyword research requires a granular understanding of these personas. In this first part of our deep dive, we are establishing the foundation of the keyword quadrant. Most people operate in the bottom left quadrant. Low intent, high competition. These are the junk keywords. Our goal is to move you to the top right. High intent, targeted competition. To do this, we must first dispel the myth of the short tail. The short tail is the one or two word phrase that sounds great in a boardroom but fails in the real world. We are looking for the long tail and the medium tail, where the user has already done their preliminary research and is now looking for the final piece of the puzzle. When a US consumer enters a search query, they are typically in one of four stages: informational, navigational, commercial, or transactional. A-list keywords live primarily in the commercial and transactional space. If you are a content creator, you might think you want informational traffic, but in the age of AI-generated summaries, informational traffic is becoming harder to monetize. If Google provides the answer in a featured snippet at the top of the page, the user has no reason to click your link. Therefore, your keyword strategy must evolve to target opinions, reviews, comparisons, and step-by-step implementation, things that an AI summary cannot easily replicate with the same level of authority as a human expert. We are going to walk through the historical trend analysis method. This involves looking at how search terms have evolved over the last 5 years in the US. You will notice that as voice search and mobile search became dominant, keywords became more conversational. People no longer type best shoes. They ask their phone, what are the best running shoes for flat feet for a marathon in high humidity? This is an A-list keyword. It tells you exactly who the person is, what their physical constraint is, what their goal is, and what their environment is. If you sell running shoes, that is a gold mine. Over the next 9 parts of this masterclass, we will cover the technical tools to find these terms, the gap analysis to steal them from your competitors, and the semantic mapping to ensure search engines understand your relevance. But it all starts here with the realization that SEO is no longer a game of numbers. It is a game of psychology. You are solving the problem of discovery for an audience that is overwhelmed with information. By the end of this series, you will have a list of keywords that doesn't just look good on a report, but actually drives the potential outcomes your brand deserves. We are moving away from the invisible 90% and into the elite 10% that owns the US search landscape. Would you like me to continue with part 2, where we dive into the specific US-centric keyword research tools and the seed list generation process? To find these A-list keywords, we must start with the raw material, the seed list. This is the bedrock of your entire SEO architecture. Now, consider a different scenario. Imagine Sarah, a consultant in Chicago who specializes in sustainable urban gardening. Sarah is looking to grow her YouTube channel and digital product sales. She uses ARVs to perform a content gap analysis, but she starts with a very specific twist. Instead of looking at her direct competitors, she looks at adjacent industries. She looks at what keywords high-end real estate developers in Chicago are ranking for. She discovers that terms like luxury rooftop landscaping and sustainable balcony design are exploding in popularity. By identifying these A-list keywords that intersect with her expertise, she can create content that attracts an affluent, US-based audience that her gardening competitors are completely overlooking. Step by step, Sarah uses the Site Explorer tool to analyze the top-performing pages of these real estate sites. She looks for the top keywords, report, and filters for keywords with a difficulty score of under 30. This is a historical trend in SEO. Targeting low-hanging fruit allows you to build topical authority before moving on to the more competitive terms. Sarah finds a specific keyword, best drought-tolerant plants for Illinois balconies. The volume is only 400 searches per month, but the commercial intent is massive. These are people who own property, have a specific problem due to local climate, and are ready to spend money on a solution. Data from the first quarter of 2026 indicates that long-tail keywords consisting of 5 or more words now account for over 60% of all US search queries. This is largely due to the prevalence of voice search via smart home devices and the conversational nature of AI chat interfaces. When you are building your seed list, you must account for this natural language. A-list keywords are no longer just fragments. They are full thoughts. Instead of laptop for gaming, the A-list keyword is what is the best gaming laptop under $2,000 with long battery life. To refine Michael and Sarah's lists further, we use the Google Keyword Planner, but with a specific focus on the top of page bid. Even if you are not running ads, this is a vital piece of data. If the top of page bid for a keyword like prefab office pod is $20, it tells you that businesses are willing to pay a premium for that traffic. That is a clear historical indicator of high conversion value. If a keyword has a high volume but a bid price of only 10 cents, it is likely an informational term with low commercial potential. You want to align your organic SEO efforts with keywords that have a proven monetary value in the US advertising market. Another advanced technique for 2026 is the use of social listening as a keyword generator. US audiences on platforms like Reddit and niche forums often use slang or specific terminology months before they show up in traditional keyword tools. By monitoring subreddits related to remote work or urban gardening, Michael and Sarah can find phrases like Zoombox or microclover lawn. These are emerging A-list keywords. By the time these terms show up in high-volume spreadsheets, the competition will be fierce. Getting in early based on real-time US conversation is how you capture the market. Imagine if you could see the exact search journey of your ideal customer. By using the alphabet soup method on the Google search bar, you can see real-time suggestions that are currently trending in the United States. You type in your seed keyword, add a letter, and observe the autocomplete. In 2026, these suggestions are heavily localized. If Michael types in modular office S, he might see modular office shipping to Florida or modular office soundproofing kits. These are direct reflections of what Americans are typing right now. We have now established how to brainstorm like a human and refine like a machine. You have your seed list, you have applied your modifiers, and you have validated the commercial value using bid data and intent signals. But a list of keywords is just a list. The real magic happens when you know which ones to prioritize and which ones to discard. Many creators make the mistake of trying to rank for everything at once, which leads to a dilution of authority. In the next part, we are going to look at the ruthless process of keyword culling. We will examine how to analyze your competition's weaknesses to find the gaps where they are vulnerable. You will see how to identify keywords where the current top-ranking results are outdated, low quality, or failing to answer the user's true intent. If you think finding the keywords was the hard part, wait until you see how we determine which ones are actually winnable in the hyper-competitive US landscape of 2026. We are about to dive into the competitor gap analysis that will reveal exactly where your rivals are leaving money on the table. Competitor gap analysis is the process of identifying the vulnerabilities in your rivals' keyword portfolios and content strategies. In the hyper-competitive US market of 2026, you are not just looking for what your competitors are ranking for, you are looking for where they are failing. Most creators and businesses look at a high-ranking competitor and assume that because they are at the top of the search results, their content is unbeatable. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how modern search algorithms function. Search engines like Google are forced to rank the best available content, even if that content is mediocre, outdated, or only partially answers the user's query. These instances are what we call content gaps, and they are your most direct path to the top of the search results. Imagine a creator named David who runs a technology review channel focused on smart home security systems for American suburban homeowners. In 2026, the smart home market is flooded with new AI-integrated hardware. David's primary competitor is a massive venture-backed tech publication with a domain rating of 90. On paper, David should never be able to outrank them. However, when David performs a competitor gap analysis on the keyword best AI security cameras for pet detection, he notices something crucial. The top 3 results are all from late 2024 or early 2025. In the world of AI hardware, 2 years is an eternity. These articles mention models that have been discontinued or lack the latest 2026 firmware updates. This is a weak signal. Historical trends in SEO show that when the top-ranking content suffers from content decay, a newer, more relevant piece of content can often bypass the older authority sites regardless of their backlink profile. The first step in your gap analysis is the SERP analysis, or search engine results page analysis. You must look for the presence of user-generated content platforms like Reddit, Quora, or niche forums in the top 5 results. In 2026, search engines increasingly prioritize these platforms when they cannot find a definitive, high-quality expert article on a topic. If you see a Reddit thread from 2025 ranking in the second position for a high-value commercial keyword, that is a massive green light. It indicates that the search engine is desperate for a structured, professional answer that the current web ecosystem is failing to provide. For David, seeing a Reddit thread about camera lag issues in Midwest winters ranking highly is his cue to create the definitive guide on the subject, incorporating technical data, real-world testing, and specific regional advice that a forum post lacks. Next, you must evaluate information gain. This is a concept that has become the cornerstone of the 2026 SEO landscape. Search engines now have the capability to detect if a new article is simply a summary of the existing top 10 results, or if it provides unique, additional value. If your competitors are all saying the same thing, the search engine has no reason to rank your content over theirs. You must identify what is missing. Is there a lack of original imagery? Are there no case studies or data points? Is the tone too generic for a US-based audience? Let us look at a case study involving a US-based financial education firm targeting young professionals in 2026. They wanted to rank for the keyword high-yield savings account alternatives for 2026. Their competitors were all large banks providing generic lists. The firm realized that none of these competitors were addressing the specific psychological needs of the 2026 American workforce, such as the rise of gig economy volatility or the impact of regional inflation. By adding a specific section on how these alternatives perform in high cost of living areas like San Francisco versus low-cost areas like Des Moines, they provided information gain that the national banks ignored. This allowed them to capture a highly targeted segment of the market that felt the existing content was too broad to be useful. Another critical step in finding A-list gaps is analyzing intent mismatch. This happens when a search engine ranks a page that doesn't quite fit what the user is actually looking for. Imagine if a user in the United States searches for professional drone pilot certification requirements 2026. If the top result is a blog post titled "My Journey to Becoming a Drone Pilot," that is an intent mismatch. The user wants a factual, step-by-step regulatory guide, not a personal narrative. By identifying these mismatches, you can create content that precisely aligns with the user's search intent, which leads to better engagement metrics and potential outcomes in your search rankings. To perform this analysis at scale, you can use the Content Gap tool within platforms like Ahrefs or SEMrush. You input your domain and the domains of your top 3 competitors. The tool will show you keywords that your competitors rank for but you do not. However, do not stop there. Most people just export this list and start writing. An A-list strategist takes that list and filters it by keyword difficulty and SERP features. Look for keywords where your competitors are ranking without a featured snippet. This is an opportunity for you to create a concise, well-formatted answer that Google can pull to the very top of the page in a box, effectively leapfrogging the competition. Data from recent 2026 industry reports suggests that US users are increasingly skeptical of AI-generated filler content. This gives a significant advantage to creators who use competitor gap analysis to find areas where they can provide first-person experience. Historical trends show that articles containing phrases like "in my testing of this product in Chicago" or "based on our clients' results in the 2026 fiscal year" perform significantly better in terms of dwell time and conversion. Your gap analysis should look for keywords dominated by anonymous or generic corporate voices, and replace them with a strong, authoritative, and relatable American personality. Imagine if you could see the exact bounce rate of your competitors' pages. While you cannot see their internal analytics, you can estimate it by looking at their user experience. Does the page load slowly on a mobile device in a typical US 5G environment? Is it cluttered with intrusive ads that make the content unreadable? These are technical gaps. If you provide a cleaner, faster, and more user-friendly experience for the same A-list keyword, the search engine will eventually notice the difference in user signals, such as how long people stay on your page versus theirs. Step by step, your goal is to build a matrix of opportunity. On one axis, you have the keyword value, which we determined in part 2. On the other axis, you have the competitor weakness score. You are looking for the sweet spot. High-value keywords where the competition is providing outdated content, mismatched intent, or low-quality user experiences. This is how a small channel or a new business in 2026 takes market share away from established giants. It is not about outspending them, it is about outthinking them by identifying the cracks in their digital foundation. By the end of this culling process, your massive seed list will be reduced to a lean, mean list of 20 to 30 A-list keywords that are not only valuable but winnable. You have moved beyond guessing and into a data-driven strategy tailored for the US audience of 2026. But having the keywords is only half the battle. Now you have to know how to structure your content so that both the AI algorithms and the human readers find it irresistible. In the next part, we are going to dive into the architecture of an A-list content piece. We will explore the 2026 semantic header strategy and the exact way to use your keywords within your script or article to ensure maximum visibility without triggering spam filters. We are going to look at how to satisfy the search intent so perfectly that the user never has to click back to the search results again. This is where we turn your list of words into a content powerhouse that dominates the US search landscape. Are you ready to see the blueprint for the perfect SEO-optimized masterclass? The architecture of your content is the difference between a user staying for 5 seconds and staying for 5 minutes. In the hyper-optimized digital landscape of 2026, search engines are no longer just looking for strings of text. They are looking for entities and the logical relationships between them. This is what we call semantic saliency. If you want to dominate the US search landscape, you have to stop thinking about keywords as isolated ornaments and start thinking about them as the structural beams of a building. When a search engine crawls your page or a viewer watches your video, it is looking for a cohesive map of information that resolves a specific intent. Imagine Marcus, an entrepreneur in Seattle who launched a premium home espresso equipment brand in early 2026. Marcus has identified his A-list keyword: commercial-grade espresso machines for home kitchens. To most people, that is just one phrase to repeat. But for Marcus to rank in 2026, he needs to build a semantic cluster around that phrase. This means his content must also intelligently reference related entities like pressure profiling, dual boiler systems, thermal stability, and UL certification for residential use. Search engines now use large language models to determine if a piece of content is authoritative by checking if it mentions the technical subtopics that a real expert would naturally include. If Marcus only mentions his main keyword and ignores the surrounding technical entities, the algorithm will flag the content as thin or low authority. The first step in your content blueprint is the title and H1 structure. In the United States, the psychology of the click is driven by a balance of curiosity and clarity. Your title must contain the A-list keyword near the beginning, but it also needs a power modifier that speaks to the 2026 consumer. Instead of commercial espresso machines for home, Marcus uses 7 best commercial espresso machines for home kitchens. 2026 Performance Review. The year 2026 serves as a freshness signal, which is a significant ranking factor for US audiences who prioritize the latest data. The word performance signals that the content will be technical and evaluative, rather than just a sales pitch. Moving into the lead, or the first 100 words of your script or article, we encounter what is known as answer engine optimization. With the rise of AI-driven search over the last few years, the top of the search results page is often occupied by a summary box. To win this space, you must provide a concise, direct answer to the primary search intent within the first few sentences. If Marcus is targeting the keyword "how much does a home commercial espresso machine cost?", his first paragraph should state clearly, in 2026, a commercial-grade espresso machine for home use typically costs between $3,000 and $8,000, depending on the boiler type and pressure capabilities. By providing this immediate value, Marcus increases his chances of being featured in the snippet, which historical trends show can lead to a significant increase in click-through rates. The body of your content must then follow a hierarchical structure using semantic headers. Think of your H2 and H3 tags as a table of contents that guides the search engine through your logic. For the Seattle coffee market, Marcus doesn't just use generic headers like features and benefits. He uses intent-driven headers like why thermal stability matters in high-end home brewing, or comparing dual boiler versus heat exchanger systems for 2026 kitchens. These headers do two things. They keep the reader engaged by addressing specific pain points, and they provide the search engine with a clear roadmap of the semantic entities being discussed. In 2026, we also see the massive importance of the information density metric. High-retention US channels have moved away from fluff and filler. Every sentence must provide a new data point or a specific example. For instance, instead of saying these machines are very fast, Marcus says these machines reach optimal brewing temperature in under 6 minutes due to their high wattage heating elements. This specificity is a hallmark of A-list content. It satisfies the sophisticated US consumer, who is looking for evidence-based recommendations rather than marketing jargon. Imagine if you could hold a viewer's attention through a 15-minute deep dive without them ever looking at the progress bar. This is achieved through a technique called the bucket brigade. These are short, punchy phrases used to bridge the gap between complex technical sections. Phrases like "now here is the interesting part, but there is a catch," or "this is where most people get it wrong" serve as psychological resets. They create a continuous loop of curiosity that keeps the viewer or reader moving through your content. For a US-based audience, these transitions need to feel conversational and authentic, matching the fast-paced energy of modern digital media. Step by step, the blueprint for an A-list content piece in 2026 looks like this. First, a title that combines the A-list keyword with a time-sensitive modifier and a benefit. Second, an introduction that provides a direct answer to the primary query to capture the AI snippet. Third, a body structured with H2 and H3 headers that target related semantic entities. Fourth, a deep dive into specific data points and case studies that provide high information gain. And finally, a dedicated FAQ section. The FAQ section is your secret weapon for capturing people also ask traffic. By looking at the bottom of the Google search results for his keyword, Marcus can see exactly what else his audience is worried about. He sees questions like, "Do I need a special electrical outlet for a commercial espresso machine?" Or "How much maintenance does a dual boiler machine require?" By including these exact questions as H3 headers at the end of his content and providing direct, expert answers, he expands the reach of his content to dozens of long-tail keywords. Historical trends show that FAQ sections are one of the most effective ways to increase the total number of keywords a single page can rank for. Case studies have shown that US users are 70% more likely to trust content that includes original testing or a first-person perspective. Marcus ensures his script includes phrases like, "In our Seattle testing lab, we found that," or "After running 50 shots of espresso through the machine, our data indicated." This level of transparency and detail is what separates a viral, high-authority channel from a generic content farm. In the 2026 landscape, the search engine is looking for the expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness of the creator. Every specific detail you add is a deposit into your trust account with the algorithm. We have now covered the architecture, the semantic clustering, and the psychological triggers that keep US audiences engaged. You have a blueprint that satisfies both the AI bots and the human readers. However, even the most perfectly structured content will fail if the underlying technical foundation of your platform is crumbling. You can have the best keywords in the world, but if your page takes too long to load on a mobile device in a crowded Chicago subway, the user will bounce before they read a single word. In the next part, we are going to look at the technical SEO pillar. We will dive into the 2026 standards for core web vitals, the impact of mobile-first indexing on US-based traffic, and the invisible technical errors that might be killing your rankings right now. We are going to explore how to make your site so fast and so responsive that search engines have no choice but to put you at the top. Are you ready to go under the hood and fix the technical leaks in your SEO strategy? Technical SEO is the engine room of your digital presence, and in 2026, a sluggish engine is a death sentence for your rankings. You can have the most insightful, A-list keyword-optimized content in the world, but if the technical foundation of your site is cracked, search engine crawlers will treat you like a liability. In the United States, where high-speed internet is the standard and user patience is at an all-time low, technical performance has shifted from a back-end chore to a primary ranking signal. If your site takes 3 seconds to load on a 5G connection in downtown Chicago, you have already lost 50% of your potential audience. This is not just about speed. It is about the confidence a search engine has in your ability to provide a seamless experience to its users. Imagine Emily, a business owner in New York City who launched a specialized consultancy for sustainable architectural design in early 2026. Emily did everything right regarding keyword research. She targeted high-intent phrases like LEED Platinum certification consulting NYC and Passive House Design Architects Manhattan. Her content was deep, expert-led, and highly relevant. However, 6 months after launch, she was still buried on page 4 of the search results. When she looked at her Search Console data, she saw thousands of impressions but almost no clicks. The problem was not her words. It was her invisible technical debt. Her site was plagued by a high interaction to next paint score, which is the 2026 gold standard for measuring responsiveness. Interaction to next paint, or INP, replaced older metrics to focus on how quickly a page responds to a user action, like clicking a button or opening a menu. In Emily's case, her site used heavy, unoptimized JavaScript that blocked the main thread. When a potential client clicked on her portfolio button, the site froze for 400 milliseconds. To a human, that feels like a glitch. To a search engine algorithm in 2026, that is a signal of a low-quality user experience. Historical trends in SEO indicate that sites with poor responsiveness metrics are systematically suppressed in favor of sites that prioritize the main thread. Emily had to strip away redundant third-party scripts and implement code splitting to ensure that only the essential elements loaded first. The second pillar of your technical foundation is largest contentful paint, or LCP. By 2026, the threshold for a good LCP score has tightened significantly. For a US-based audience, you are now aiming for an LCP of under 1.2 seconds. This measures how long it takes for the largest visual element on the screen, usually a hero image or a heading, to become visible. If you are using massive, uncompressed 4K images of your products, you are sabotaging your A-list keyword strategy. Step by step, you must implement modern image formats like AVIF or WebP, and utilize a content delivery network with edge servers located across the United States. This ensures that a user in Los Angeles and a user in Boston both experience the same lightning-fast load times. Another critical element is cumulative layout shift, or CLS. We have all experienced the frustration of trying to click a link only for the page to jump at the last second, causing us to click an ad instead. In 2026, search engines penalize this heavily as it is seen as a deceptive or poorly engineered practice. You must ensure that every element on your page, from images to ad units, has defined height and width attributes. This reserves the space on the screen before the element actually loads, preventing the content from jumping around. For a US audience used to the polished interfaces of major tech platforms, layout stability is a basic requirement for trust. Now, let us talk about the invisible map of your site, schema markup. In the era of AI-driven search, schema is how you talk directly to the machines. It is a standardized language that tells search engines exactly what your content represents. If Marcus from our previous example uses product schema, he is not just telling Google he has a page about espresso machines. He is providing specific data points like price, availability, and average star rating. In 2026, this data is what populates the rich snippets and AI summaries at the top of the search results. Without proper JSON-LD schema implementation, your A-list keywords are just plain text. With it, they become structured entities that search engines can easily categorize and recommend. Mobile-first indexing is no longer a suggestion, it is the absolute reality. Over 80% of US search traffic in 2026 originates from mobile devices, including the latest foldable phones and wearable tech. Your site must be more than just responsive. It must be mobile optimized. This means touch targets must be large enough for a thumb to hit accurately, font sizes must be legible without zooming, and the navigation must be intuitive on a small screen. A common technical leak we see is the use of pop-ups or interstitials that cover the main content on mobile devices. Historically, Google has penalized sites that use intrusive interstitials because they degrade the mobile user experience. Imagine if your website was a physical storefront in a busy American mall. If the door is stuck, the lights are flickering, and there is no map to help people find what they need, they will leave immediately, no matter how good the products inside are. Technical SEO is the maintenance of that store. You must regularly audit your site for 404 errors and redirect chains. A 404 error is a dead end for both users and crawlers. A redirect chain where page A points to page B which points to page C dilutes your link equity and slows down the crawling process. In 2026, you want a flat site architecture where any page on your site is no more than 3 clicks away from the homepage. Crawl budget is another advanced concept that high-authority US channels must master. Search engines do not have infinite resources to crawl every single page on the internet every day. They allocate a certain amount of time to your site, based on its authority and technical health. If your site is cluttered with thousands of low-value pages, such as tag pages or filtered search results, the crawler might waste its budget on those and never reach your high-value A-list keyword content. By using a robots.txt file to block unimportant sections and using the noindex tag on thin pages, you guide the crawler to the parts of your site that actually drive revenue. Data from the first half of 2026 shows that technical health is now a prerequisite for being included in AI-generated answers. If an AI crawler cannot easily parse your HTML, or if your site is too slow to render its content, the AI will simply skip you and cite a competitor who has a cleaner technical setup. This is why you must ensure your server response time is optimized. Using high-performance US-based hosting is not an area where you should look to cut costs. A difference of 200 milliseconds in server response time can be the factor that determines whether you are the primary source for an AI summary or just another invisible link on page 2. We have now gone under the hood and fixed the technical leaks. Your site is fast, responsive, and speaks the language of the machines through schema. Your A-list keywords now have a high-performance vehicle to carry them to the top of the search results. But technical health and keyword research are still just pieces of the puzzle. The true test of your SEO strategy is how the user behaves once they actually land on your page. The search engine is watching their every move. In the next part, we are going to explore the world of search intent and user experience signals. We will dive into why the click is only the beginning and how metrics like dwell time and pogo sticking are the ultimate deciders of your long-term ranking. We are going to look at the psychology of the US consumer once they are on your site and how to keep them there long enough to signal to the algorithm that you are the absolute best result for their query. Are you ready to master the art of the user journey and lock in your top-tier rankings for 2026? Search intent is the invisible heartbeat of the 2026 algorithm. If keywords are the map, search intent is the destination. You can have a technically perfect site and high-volume A-list keywords, but if you do not understand why a US-based user is typing those words into a search bar, your rankings will inevitably collapse. In 2026, search engines have moved beyond simple keyword matching and into the realm of semantic intent satisfaction. This means the algorithm is constantly measuring how well your content actually resolves the problem the user is trying to solve. In the United States, where the digital marketplace is flooded with options, the search engine acts as a ruthless filter, promoting only those who provide a direct and satisfying conclusion to the search journey. Historical trends show that search intent generally falls into 4 distinct buckets: informational, navigational, commercial, and transactional. However, in 2026, these buckets have become more nuanced. We now see the rise of mixed intent and fractured intent, where a single keyword might serve different purposes for different people. Imagine Chloe, a high-performance athletic trainer based in Austin, Texas. Chloe is trying to rank for the keyword wearable fitness recovery tech. This is a high-value A-list keyword for her niche. But who is searching for this? One user might be a professional athlete looking for technical data on heart rate variability, informational. Another might be a weekend warrior looking for the best price on a specific recovery sleeve, commercial. A third might be a coach trying to log into their team management portal, navigational. If Chloe creates a page that is just a generic blog post about how recovery is important, she is failing to satisfy the specific intents of those users. In the US market, this leads to a phenomenon known as pogo sticking. Pogo sticking occurs when a user clicks on your result, realizes almost immediately that it does not provide what they need, and hits the back button to find a different source. In 2026, Google tracks this behavior with extreme precision. If a significant percentage of users pogo stick away from your page, the algorithm receives a high-strength signal that your content is not a quality match for that keyword. Your rankings will drop not because your content is bad, but because your intent alignment is wrong. To avoid this, you must perform an intent audit on every A-list keyword in your list. Step by step. This involves looking at the current search engine results page for your target term. Look at what is already ranking in the top 3 positions. Are they long-form guides? Are they product category pages? Are they tool-based calculators? If you see 3 product pages and you are trying to rank with a 3,000-word blog post, you are fighting an uphill battle. The search engine has already decided that for this specific keyword, the US audience wants to shop, not read. You must pivot your content structure to match the existing successful intent pattern, while adding that 2026 information gain we discussed in earlier parts. Dwell time is the inverse of pogo sticking, and is one of your most powerful allies in 2026. This metric measures the actual time a user spends on your page before returning to the search results or closing the browser. For a deep dive masterclass or a complex service description, you want your dwell time to be significantly higher than the industry average. Case studies from top-tier US marketing firms suggest that high dwell time is strongly correlated with top-tier rankings. To increase dwell time, you must use what is known as value density design. This means every paragraph must provide a new insight, a specific statistic, or a relatable example. In the United States, users have a very high threshold for what they consider useful information. If you use 200 words to say something that could be said in 20, they will leave. Imagine if Chloe in Austin uses interactive elements like a recovery score calculator on her page. When a user lands on her site for the keyword best recovery tech, they don't just see a list. They see a tool where they can input their age, sport, and current fatigue levels. This interactive experience keeps them on the page for 3 to 4 minutes. This massive dwell time signal tells the search engine that Chloe's page is not just a result, it is a destination. This is how you lock in a #1 spot. You create a user experience so engaging that the search engine would be doing its users a disservice by ranking anyone else higher. Another critical metric for 2026 is scroll depth. Search engines now track how far down a page a user actually goes. If you have a long-form article but 80% of your audience drops off after the first 300 words, your scroll depth is poor. This is often caused by a lack of visual hierarchy or a failure to use those bucket brigades we talked about. To fix this, you should use the F pattern and E pattern of reading. US readers typically scan headlines and the first few words of paragraphs. By using bold text for key insights and frequent, descriptive subheaders, you encourage the reader to keep scrolling. Every time they reach a new section, you should provide a visual anchor, such as a chart, a high-resolution image, or a pull quote, to reset their attention span. Let us look at a case study of a US-based home insurance comparison site in 2026. They targeted the keyword "how to lower home insurance premiums in Florida." This is a high-stakes, high-intent keyword. Initially, they had a very low dwell time because their content was just a wall of text. They implemented a step-by-step checklist that users could check off as they read. This simple UX addition increased their average dwell time by over 100%. The potential outcomes of this shift were clear. Within 3 months, they moved from page 3 to the top of page 1. This happened because they shifted from just providing information to providing a usable framework that matched the user's intent to take action. Internal linking is the final piece of the UX signal puzzle. When a user clicks from one page of your site to another, it signals to the search engine that your site is a comprehensive authority on the topic. In the US market, users appreciate a well-organized site that anticipates their next question. If Chloe has a guide on recovery tech, she should have clear, logical links to her specific reviews of massage guns or her deep dive into sleep optimization. This creates a content loop. The search engine sees that users are not just visiting one page, they are consuming an entire ecosystem of information. This builds topical authority, which is the ultimate goal of any A-list keyword strategy in 2026. We have now mastered the psychology of the click and the mechanics of user engagement. You know how to align your content with intent, how to kill pogo sticking, and how to use dwell time as a ranking weapon. Your site is now a high-retention machine that satisfies both the human reader and the machine algorithm. But even with the best intent matching and the fastest site, you are still an island in a vast digital ocean. To truly dominate the US search landscape, you need the digital equivalent of a high-status endorsement. In the next part, we are going to dive into the world of authority building and the 2026 backlink strategy. We will explore why not all links are created equal, and how to get high-authority US publications to cite your content. We are going to look at the move away from quantity and toward the quality-authority relevance triad that defines the modern web. Are you ready to learn how to build a backlink profile that makes your brand untouchable in the search results? In the 2026 digital ecosystem, a backlink is no longer a mere vote of confidence. It is a digital handshake between two entities of verified authority. If you imagine your website as a professional in a crowded room, a backlink is a high-status peer introducing you to a circle of elite decision-makers. Historical trends in search engine evolution have moved us far away from the era of link quantity. In 2026, the algorithm has reached a level of sophistication where it can distinguish between a manufactured link and a genuine citation of expertise. To dominate the United States search market, you must master the quality-authority relevance triad. This is the framework that separates the viral successes from the sites that languish in the backwaters of page 10. Let us look at the first pillar, quality. In the past, any link from a site with a decent domain rating was considered a win. Today, search engines analyze the actual traffic and engagement of the linking site. If a site links to you but has 0 real human visitors itself, that link carries almost no weight. In fact, historical data suggests that an overabundance of low-quality, automated links can lead to a site being flagged for manual review. You are looking for links from active, vibrant US-based communities and publications. The second pillar is authority. This is measured by the AT framework: experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. In 2026, the search engine looks at the author of the page linking to you. Is this a recognized expert in the field? If a renowned architectural critic in New York links to your sustainable design firm, that link is worth more than 1,000 links from generic lifestyle blogs. It signals to the algorithm that an established authority has vetted your content. The third and perhaps most important pillar in 2026 is relevance. Imagine Jackson, a solar energy consultant based in Portland, Oregon. Jackson wants to rank for the A-list keyword residential solar battery storage costs 2026. If Jackson gets a backlink from a high-authority New York fashion magazine, it might look good on a spreadsheet, but it does very little for his SEO. However, if he gets a link from a local Portland green energy blog or a national renewable energy trade publication, the relevance is high. The search engine understands that the link is contextually appropriate. The algorithm now analyzes the surrounding text of a link, the anchor text and the paragraphs preceding it, to determine if the link truly belongs there. To build this triad, you must move toward the digital PR method. This is the process of creating content that is so valuable that journalists and influencers feel compelled to cite it. In 2026, the most effective way to do this is through original data and research. Imagine if Jackson conducted a study on the performance of solar batteries during the specific cloud cover patterns of the Pacific Northwest in the winter of 2025. He publishes a report titled The Oregon Solar Gap, a 12-month performance study. Because this data does not exist anywhere else, local news outlets like The Oregonian or tech sites like Wired would want to cite his findings. By providing original research, Jackson is not asking for a link. He is providing a resource that journalists need to make their own stories credible. The potential outcomes of an original research strategy are massive. Historical trends show that a single piece of well-researched data can earn hundreds of high-authority links over a 2-year period. This is the ultimate A-list keyword magnet. When you own the data, you own the conversation. Step by step, the process for this involves identifying a gap in existing U.S. market data, conducting a survey or technical analysis, and then creating a highly shareable infographic or executive summary that highlights the most shocking or relevant statistics. Another powerful strategy in 2026 is the expert quote protocol. Journalists in the United States are under constant pressure to produce content quickly, and they need expert voices to validate their articles. By using platforms that have evolved from the old Harrow model into AI-driven matching services, you can offer your expertise to major U.S. publications. When a reporter at the Wall Street Journal is writing about the shift in American homeworking habits and needs a quote on soundproofing, Michael from our earlier example can provide a professional insight. In exchange, he receives a high-authority citation and a backlink. This is not just SEO, this is brand building. You must also consider the broken link strategy, updated for the 2026 landscape. This involves finding high-authority pages in your niche that are linking to dead or outdated content and offering your superior, updated A-list content as a replacement. In the fast-moving tech and finance sectors, content decays rapidly. By using AI-assisted tools to scan for broken links on government.gov or educational.edu sites, which carry immense authority in the US, you can find opportunities to step in as the new reliable resource. Imagine if you could see the link profile of your competitors in real time. By performing a link gap analysis, you can identify which high-authority US sites are linking to your rivals but not to you. If a specific industry directory or a regional business association has listed 3 of your competitors, it is a high-probability target for your outreach. Your pitch in 2026 needs to be personalized and value-first. Gone are the days of mass email templates. A professional US-based outreach coordinator focuses on building a relationship first, perhaps by commenting on the target site's recent articles or sharing their content on social media, before ever asking for a citation. Case studies indicate that for a US audience, the trust factor of a link is paramount. If a user sees your brand mentioned in a trusted publication like Forbes or a niche-specific authority like Architectural Digest, the psychological barrier to conversion drops significantly. This is the synergistic effect of SEO and PR. The backlink helps you rank, and the brand association helps you sell. We have now established the external pillars of authority. You know how to earn the digital handshake and how to build a backlink profile rooted in quality, authority, and relevance. You are no longer an isolated island. You are part of a high-trust network of American digital entities. But even with the strongest external endorsements, your internal structure must be sound. If a user follows a high-authority link to your site, but then gets lost in a maze of poorly organized pages, all that effort is wasted. In the next part, we are going to look at the internal architecture and the silo strategy. We will explore how to distribute your hard-earned link equity across your entire site, so that every page benefits from your high-authority backlinks. we are going to dive into the exact way to link your pages together to create a topical powerhouse that search engines find impossible to ignore. Are you ready to organize your site like a world-class library and maximize the power of your A-list keywords? Internal architecture is the nervous system of your digital presence. While your A-list keywords provide the destination, your internal linking and silo strategy provide the map that both users and search engines use to navigate your expertise. In the competitive US search landscape of 2026, simply having great content is not enough. You must prove to the algorithm that your website is a structured, authoritative library, rather than a disorganized pile of information. If a user in New York is looking for specialized advice, they don't just want one answer. They want to know they are getting that answer from a source that understands the entire ecosystem of that topic. This is where the silo strategy comes into play. Imagine a business owner named James who runs an e-commerce brand based in Denver called Mountain Peak Gear. James specializes in high-tech, ultra-lightweight camping equipment. In 2026, the outdoor gear market is incredibly saturated. James has identified his primary A-list keyword, ultra-lightweight backpacking tents for high-altitude trekking. To rank for this, James cannot just write one long blog post. He needs to build a content silo. A silo is a method of grouping related content together to establish topical relevance. In James's case, his silo starts with a pillar page. This is the massive definitive guide that covers everything about high-altitude tents. This pillar page is his hub. Surrounding this hub are his spoke pages. These are shorter, more specific articles that target long-tail A-list keywords related to the main topic. For James, these spokes might include topics like how to repair carbon fiber tent poles, the best four-season tent stakes for rocky soil, and a comparison of tent floor materials for durability. The magic happens in the linking. Every one of these spoke pages must link back to the main pillar page using descriptive, keyword-rich anchor text. Simultaneously, the pillar page links out to each spoke. This creates a closed loop of authority. When a high-quality backlink from a major US publication hits any page in this silo, the authority, or what SEOs historically call link juice, flows through these internal links to strengthen the entire group. Historical trends in 2026 show that websites using a strict siloing architecture rank significantly faster than those with a flat structure. Why? Because search engine crawlers are looking for topical breadth. When Google's AI-driven crawler hits James's site, it sees a cluster of 15 interconnected pages all dedicated to high-altitude trekking gear. This sends a high-strength signal that James is not just a casual blogger but a vertical authority. For the US audience, this structure also reduces friction. If a user reads about tents and immediately sees a helpful link to tent stakes, their dwell time increases, and your engagement metrics soar. Step by step, building an A-list silo starts with your hierarchy mapping. You must decide which page is your king. This is usually your highest value commercial page. Underneath this, you categorize your support content. A common mistake in the US market is overcomplicating this with too many layers. In 2026, the 3-click rule is more vital than ever. You must ensure that any piece of content in your silo is no more than 3 clicks away from your homepage. If your architecture is too deep, search engines may stop crawling before they reach your most valuable long-tail assets. Now, let us look at the technical execution of internal link anchors. In the past, people used generic phrases like click here or read more. In the 2026 SEO environment, this is a wasted opportunity. Your anchor text should be a descriptive signal to the algorithm about what the next page is about. However, you must avoid over-optimization. If every single link to your tent page uses the exact phrase best lightweight tents, it looks unnatural. You need to use semantic variations. Use anchors like ultralight shelter options, high-altitude backpacking gear, and trekking tent reviews. This variety tells the search engine that your content is written for humans, not just for bots. Imagine if you could direct the flow of authority on your site like a city planner directs traffic. This is the concept of link equity management. Some pages on your site naturally attract more links than others, usually your homepage or a viral data-driven blog post. You must use these high-authority pages as launchpads. By placing a strategic internal link from your most linked page to a new A-list keyword page, you can give that new content an immediate boost in visibility. Historical trends suggest that this internal push can reduce the time it takes for a new page to reach the first 2 pages of US search results by as much as 30%. Case studies from 2026 indicate that breadcrumbs are no longer just a navigation aid. They are a critical SEO component. Breadcrumbs provide a clear, linear path that tells search engines exactly where a page sits in your site's hierarchy. For James in Denver, a breadcrumb like home/backpacking gear/tent/ultra lightweight allows Google to understand the categorical relationship of every product. This is especially important for winning those coveted rich snippets and AI overviews at the top of the search results, as it allows the AI to parse your site structure with zero ambiguity. Another advanced technique for 2026 is the contextual link placement. Links placed within the body of your content, surrounded by relevant text, carry significantly more weight than links placed in a sidebar or footer. Search engines prioritize these links because they are more likely to be clicked by a user who is genuinely engaged with the topic. When James writes a paragraph about wind resistance in the Colorado Rockies, he should link to his specific guide on tent aerodynamics right there in the text. This is a high relevance signal that reinforces the topical bond between the two pages. Consider the potential outcomes for a national travel blog that pivoted to a siloed structure in early 2026. By organizing their 3,000 articles into distinct silos like U.S. national parks, European city guides, and solo travel safety, they saw a 40% increase in organic traffic within 4 months. The search engine stopped seeing them as a generic travel site and started seeing them as a collection of specialized authorities. This is the power of organization. You are making it as easy as possible for the algorithm to say yes to your content. But there is a trap that many US creators fall into: the orphan page. An orphan page is a piece of content that has no internal links pointing to it. Even if it is a masterpiece optimized for a perfect A-list keyword, if the crawler can't find it through a link, it effectively doesn't exist. Part of your monthly SEO maintenance must involve using tools like Screaming Frog or modern AI site auditors to identify and rescue these orphan pages, integrating them back into your relevant silos. We have now organized your site into a high-performance authority machine. Your keywords are grouped, your links are flowing, and your hierarchy is crystal clear. You have built the library. Now you need to make sure the books are being read. No matter how perfect your internal structure is, your rankings will eventually plateau if you aren't constantly monitoring the landscape and adapting to the shifting habits of the US consumer. In the next part, we are going to dive into the world of SEO analytics and performance tracking for 2026. We will explore the specific metrics that actually matter in the age of AI search and how to use data to double down on what is working while cutting what isn't. We are going to look at the tools that give you a window into your audience's behavior and show you exactly how to stay ahead of the curve. Are you ready to stop guessing and start measuring the real impact of your A-list keyword strategy? Measurement in 2026 is no longer a passive activity or a simple end-of-month chore. It is an active investigation into the psychological state of the American consumer and the efficiency of your digital machine. If you are still looking at a simple spreadsheet that says position 3 or position 5, you are essentially driving a high-performance vehicle while only looking at the fuel gauge. You are missing the speedometer, the oil pressure, the engine temperature, and the GPS coordinates. In the United States, search patterns shift with the speed of a social media trend, and consumer sentiment can pivot overnight. To maintain your A-list status, you need a feedback loop that tells you not just where you are, but where you are going and why your audience is behaving the way they do. In 2026, the concept of a single rank is an oversimplification that can lead to poor business decisions. Because of highly personalized search results, localized algorithms, and the integration of generative AI, a user in Chicago might see your content at position 1, while a user in Los Angeles sees it at position 4 for the exact same query. Instead of obsessing over a single static number, top-tier US marketing agencies now use what is known as the visibility index. This is a weighted average that accounts for your presence across thousands of different search variations and long-tail keywords. Imagine Alex, a specialized software developer in San Francisco, who has created a tool for remote engineering teams. Alex targets the A-list keyword remote sprint planning tools for 2026. By tracking his visibility index, Alex can see that while his primary keyword is stable, he is losing ground on the long-tail variations like agile sprint tools for distributed dev teams. This is a crucial early warning sign of content decay or a new competitor entering the niche. The most valuable data in your entire arsenal is the Search Console Performance Report, but most people only scratch the surface of what it offers. To find your next major win, you must filter your results to identify your striking distance keywords. These are the terms where your average position is currently between 4.1 and 10.0. These are the keywords that are sitting on the first page but below the fold, or at the very top of page 2. In the 2026 landscape, moving from page 3 to page 2 is a minor victory, but moving from position 7 to position 2 is a transformative event for your traffic and potential outcomes. Let us look at a case study of a Nashville-based e-commerce store specializing in artisanal home goods. By analyzing their Search Console data, they found 15 A-list keywords in the striking distance range. By simply updating the meta descriptions to be more benefit-driven and adding 2 high-relevance internal links from their top-performing blog posts, they saw a 60% increase in clicks for those specific terms within 14 days. They did not write new content. They simply optimized the performance of what was already there. Beyond clicks and impressions, you must master the engagement metrics found in Google Analytics 4. By 2026, the traditional bounce rate has been largely replaced by the engagement rate and average engagement time. An engaged session is defined as a visit that lasts longer than 10 seconds, contains a conversion event, or involves at least 2 page views. For a sophisticated US audience, a low engagement rate on a high-ranking page is a critical red flag. It means your A-list keyword strategy successfully brought them to the door, but your content failed to invite them inside. You must utilize the Path Exploration tool to see exactly where the friction is occurring. If users are arriving on your deep dive guide, but leaving before they reach the second heading, your introduction is likely failing to rehook them after the initial click. Historically, we see that adding a clear table of contents with jump links can improve engagement time by up to 30% in the American market. The newest and perhaps most challenging metric to track in 2026 is AI attribution and surface area. This measures how often your content is being used as a primary source for search generative experience answers. While search engines do not always provide a transparent metric for this, savvy creators in the United States track it by monitoring referral traffic from AI proxy URLs and looking for a specific pattern of high conversion with low click volume. If you see that your organic impressions are dropping but your actual revenue or lead generation is increasing, it is a historical trend indicating that the AI is performing the filtering for you. It is providing the answer to the casual browsers and sending only the most qualified, ready-to-buy leads to your website. This is the ultimate potential outcome of a high-authority A-list strategy. You are no longer just a link. You are the definitive source that the AI trusts. Imagine if you could increase your total site traffic by 20% without writing a single new word of content. This is the power of click-through rate optimization. In 2026, high-performing channels use AI-driven split testing to find the perfect title and meta description combination. A case study from a major U.S. financial news outlet showed that changing a title from How to Save for Retirement to 5 Retirement Savings Strategies for the 2026 Economy led to a 12% jump in organic clicks. The American audience responds to specificity, urgency, and time sensitivity. You should be auditing your top 20 performing pages every quarter to see if their titles still reflect the current cultural zeitgeist and language of the United States. If your title sounds like it was written in 2023, the 2026 user will skip right over it. We must also discuss the concept of seasonal velocity. A-list keywords in the United States do not exist in a vacuum. They follow the heartbeat of the American calendar. You have the Q1 New Year resolution spike, the Q2 tax season shift, the Q3 back-to-school surge, and the Q4 holiday frenzy. A master strategist uses historical data to predict these shifts months in advance. If you are a fitness coach like Chloe and Austin, you should be optimizing your recovery and New Year fitness keywords in October and November. By the time the search volume hits its peak in January, your content is already aged, indexed, and trusted by the algorithm. This is known as seasonal front-running, and it is how small creators beat massive corporations who are often too slow to react to seasonal changes. Another advanced metric for 2026 is the sentiment analysis of your search queries. By looking at the specific modifiers people are using to find your site, you can tell if your brand is perceived as a luxury option, a budget option, or a technical authority. If people are finding you through keywords like affordable architectural consulting, but you are trying to position yourself as a premium firm, there is a disconnect between your content and your keyword strategy. You must use this data to pivot your language to match the audience you actually want to attract. This is the final level of keyword mastery. Not just finding words that get clicks, but finding words that reflect your brand identity in the US market. Step by step, your analytics routine should look like this. Every Monday, check your Search Console for striking distance opportunities. Every month, perform a deep dive into GA4 to identify pages with a falling engagement rate. Every quarter, audit your title tags for seasonal relevance and CTR performance. This consistent monitoring ensures that your A-list keywords stay in the A-list category. Data is the only way to prove that your strategies are working, and the only way to justify your marketing spend in a high-stakes environment. We have now built the engine, optimized the fuel, and installed the most advanced dashboard available in 2026. You have a world-class SEO operation that is data-driven, technically sound, and psychologically aligned with the American consumer. But there is one final piece of the puzzle that separates the temporary winners from the permanent legends. The most successful US channels and brands do not just rank for today. They build a moat around their content that makes them future-proof. In the final part of this masterclass, we are going to look at the future-proofing pillar. We will explore the emerging trends of 2027 and beyond, including the total integration of video SEO and the rise of personal brand authority as the ultimate ranking factor. We are about to show you how to ensure that your A-list status is not just a temporary peak, but a permanent foundation for your digital legacy. Are you ready to see what the next 5 years of search will look like? Future-proofing your SEO strategy in the United States requires a fundamental shift from ranking for strings to ranking for things. As we look toward the horizon of 2027, the era of the isolated keyword is officially over. We are entering the age of the entity moat. In this final part of our masterclass, we are going to explore how you can build a digital fortress that protects your A-list rankings from the inevitable algorithmic shifts of the next 5 years. The search landscape in 2026 is already dominated by AI-integrated results, but the next frontier is multimodal search and predictive assistance. To survive and thrive, your content must be more than just a page of text. It must be a recognized node in the global knowledge graph. Imagine Olivia, a boutique fitness equipment designer based in Miami. Olivia has spent the last year dominating A-list keywords like high-resistance smart Pilates reformers and eco-friendly home gym setups for small apartments. She followed the technical blueprints, mapped her silos, and earned the high-authority backlinks we discussed in earlier parts. However, Olivia knows that the US consumer is changing. In 2027, her audience is no longer just typing queries into a bar. They are taking photos of equipment they see in a hotel gym and asking their augmented reality glasses to find a sustainable version made in the USA. They are using voice commands while mid-workout to ask for a specific tension adjustment guide. This is multimodal search, and it is the key to future-proofing your brand. To capture this traffic, Olivia must implement a video SEO integration strategy that is deeper than just uploading to YouTube. In 2026, video is the primary asset class for American searchers. Historical trends show that for how-to and review-based queries, Google search results are now comprised of over 40% video content. Step by step, Olivia must optimize her video transcripts for A-list semantic entities. This involves using a process called key moment tagging. By adding precise timestamps and descriptive labels to her video descriptions, Olivia allows Google to jump the user directly to the 20-second segment of her video that answers their specific question. This is a massive ranking signal. When a user in Miami searches for how to calibrate a smart reformer, Google doesn't just show Olivia's video. It shows the specific clip where she performs the calibration. This increases her surface area in the search results and builds immediate trust with the user. Data from the first quarter of 2026 indicates that personal brand authority is the most significant factor in maintaining long-term rankings. The algorithm is no longer just looking at the domain, it is looking at the author. This is the evolution of EAT into a more granular author score. If Olivia is recognized as a verified expert in fitness tech across LinkedIn, YouTube, and niche industry publications, her content will naturally rank higher than an anonymous article from a large content farm. This is your entity moat. You must ensure that your name and your brand are consistently associated with your A-list keywords across the entire web. This involves claiming your knowledge panel, using same as schema to link your social profiles, and contributing to high-authority US platforms as a guest expert. When the search engine recognizes Olivia as an entity rather than just a website owner, it treats her content as an authoritative source that is less susceptible to minor algorithm updates. Now let us look at the concept of predictive search. In 2027, search engines will increasingly provide information before the user even realizes they need it. This is based on historical search patterns and contextual data. If a user in the US has recently searched for home gym floor plans and minimalist interior design, the predictive algorithm might suggest Olivia's guide on space-saving Pilates equipment in their personalized feed. To benefit from this, your content must be optimized for discoverability. This means using high-resolution, original imagery that is tagged with descriptive alt text, and participating in the Google Merchant Center if you sell physical products. The potential outcomes of being featured in these predictive feeds are astronomical, often exceeding the traffic generated by traditional keyword searches. Case studies of successful US-based brands in early 2026 show that they are moving away from broad, high-volume terms and toward zero-click resistance content. This is content that is so valuable and so well-structured that it becomes the definitive answer for AI models. To achieve this, you must adopt the absolute authority approach. Instead of writing 1,000 words on home gyms, you write the 10,000-word definitive guide on every single subtopic within that niche. You become the source that other sites link to and that AI models cite. This long-form, data-heavy strategy creates a barrier to entry for your competitors. It is much harder for a new rival to displace a 10,000-word pillar than a 500-word blog post. Step by step, your future-proofing checklist for 2027 should include the following. First, audit your existing A-list content for video gaps. Every high-performing article should have a corresponding video that explains the core concept. Second, implement advanced schema, including video object, FAQBIJ, and review snippets, to ensure your content is machine-readable for the next generation of AI crawlers. Third, build your personal brand moat by securing mentions in reputable US news and trade outlets. Fourth, focus on user sentiment and community. In 2027, the algorithm will place even more weight on social signals and community engagement. If your audience is talking about your brand on Reddit, Discord, and niche forums, the search engine will see that as the ultimate validation of your authority. Imagine if your website was not just a collection of pages, but a living, breathing ecosystem that people return to daily. This is the shift from a search destination to a community hub. In the United States, where brand loyalty is a major driver of lifetime value, building a community around your A-list keywords is the ultimate insurance policy. If Google changes its algorithm tomorrow, your community will still find you through your newsletter, your social channels, and your direct traffic. This diversification of traffic sources is a historical trend among the most resilient digital businesses. We have covered the journey from finding your first seed keywords to building a global authority moat. You have the tools to identify A-list opportunities, the technical knowledge to build a high-performance site, the psychological insights to capture US-based intent, and the strategic vision to future-proof your digital legacy. The potential outcomes of this masterclass are limited only by your execution. In the hyper-competitive American market of 2026, the winners are those who realize that SEO is not a one-time project, but a continuous process of adaptation and excellence. You are now equipped to lead your niche and dominate the search results for years to come. But even with the perfect SEO strategy, your business is only as strong as its ability to convert that traffic into a loyal following. Traffic is the fuel, but your brand story is the engine. Now that you have mastered the art of being found, the next critical step is mastering the art of being remembered. In our upcoming masterclass series, we are going to dive deep into the world of digital storytelling and brand resonance. We will show you how to take the A-list traffic you have earned and turn it into a movement of dedicated advocates who will sustain your business regardless of what the search engines do next. Are you ready to move beyond the search bar and start building a brand that defines the 2027 landscape? Stay tuned for our deep dive into the psychology of the American brand legacy.